The Giza Plateau is one of the most iconic and mysterious ancient sites on Earth, home to the Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, and numerous other relics of antiquity. It has captured the imaginations of explorers, historians, and enthusiasts for centuries. While many can easily picture the grandeur of these structures, few realize that these monuments are still steeped in mystery. Despite centuries of study, questions remain unanswered about who built them, and more intriguingly, why. Just 5 miles to the southwest of Giza, within the lesser-known necropolis of Zawyet El Aryan, lies a site that may hold the key to solving some of Egypt's greatest mysteries. In May 1900, Italian architect and Egyptologist Alessandro Barsanti was researching the Layer Pyramid at Zawyet El Aryan. Having previously discovered the tomb of Akhenaten, Barsanti had earned a respected reputation in his field. However, the Layer Pyramid disappointed him. It was crumbling, incomplete, and devoid of artifacts. Like other Egyptologists before him, Barsanti concluded the pyramid had been abandoned due to the death of the king who commissioned it. Discouraged, Barsanti began his return journey to Giza, but he took an alternative route along an upper plateau, offering sweeping views of the landscape. It was here that he noticed something unusual: scattered granite fragments and fine granite powder, evidence of stone cutting. Barsanti immediately suspected this was where ancient workers had prepared stone for a hidden tomb. Intrigued, Barsanti returned to Giza and assembled a team to explore the site. Within 2 days of excavation, his intuition proved correct. Beneath the sand, Barsanti uncovered the entrance to an enormous limestone pit. To his surprise, the pit was filled with large limestone blocks, each weighing several tons, seemingly thrown in without care, suggesting a deliberate attempt to conceal what lay below. On December 8th, at a depth of 21 meters, the team uncovered a significant find: a large pink granite block. Granite was not only more valuable than limestone, but also harder to work with, reserved for only the most important structures. This discovery convinced Barsanti that they had found something special. As excavation continued, more pink granite blocks were revealed, suggesting a massive subterranean structure. By February 1905, Barsanti and his team uncovered a 30-ton granite block that seemed to mark the bottom of the pit. Barsanti believed this was the entrance to a subterranean world, potentially filled with tombs and treasures. Complicating the mystery, his team also found inscriptions carved into the stones. Despite sending sketches to Egyptologists in Giza and Cairo, no one could agree on their meaning or origin. This deepened Barsanti's conviction that something extraordinary was hidden below. Barsanti used machinery to move the granite blocks, but they were interlocked like puzzle pieces. Digging further, Barsanti made his most astonishing discovery yet: an oval-shaped vat carved from pink granite, polished to a mirror-like finish. It had been carefully sealed with layers of lime and clay. When the team removed the lid, they found no treasure, only a thin black residue along the walls. Barsanti hypothesized that the vat once contained a liquid offering that had evaporated over time. Despite the disappointment, Barsanti believed the mysterious vat held great significance. Why had the builders gone to such lengths to protect it? Determined to solve the puzzle, Barsanti continued his excavation, uncovering a massive cork-like granite block, sealing off what he believed were hidden chambers below. Word of Barsanti's discoveries spread, but many of his colleagues remained skeptical. They insisted the pit was merely the foundation of an unfinished pyramid. However, Barsanti pressed on, and 2 events seemed to support his theory. First, his team uncovered a well-finished staircase at the pit's northern end. Too refined for laborers, as if it led to ceremonial chambers. Then, a torrential rainstorm flooded the pit, only for the water level to drop suddenly, as if it had seeped into a hidden chamber below. Despite mounting obstacles, including the complex interlocking granite blocks and dwindling funds, Barsanti continued his work. By 1906, however, he ran out of money and had to stop the excavation. He spent years searching for new funding and finally secured it in 1911. Yet even with renewed efforts, the work proved too difficult. And once again, Barsanti was forced to abandon the project before uncovering what lay beneath the pit. He died in 1917, leaving the mystery unresolved. Barsanti's work sparked a lingering curiosity about Zawyet El Aryan, but the site lay dormant for decades after his death. In the 1950s, it briefly resurfaced as the set for the movie The Land of the Pharaohs, but it was soon forgotten again. Barsanti's notes eventually caught the attention of Italian scholars Vito Maragioglio and Celeste Rinaldi, who set out to continue his work in the 1960s. However, their efforts were cut short when, in 1964, the Egyptian government restricted access to Zawyet El Aryan, designating it as a military base. This abrupt restriction of access raised suspicions. Why was the government blocking off this site just as interest in it was reviving? To this day, many Egyptologists assert there is no mystery at Zawyet El Aryan, claiming the pit is simply the foundation of an unfinished pyramid. Yet Barsanti, who studied Egypt's ancient wonders for decades, was adamant that this was no ordinary pyramid foundation. If the pit was just a foundation, why go to such lengths to construct a floor made of interlocking granite blocks, held together by strong mortar and designed to be nearly impossible to move? Furthermore, why use valuable pink granite, which had to be transported from Aswan, nearly 600 miles away, if the structure was to be buried under a pyramid? Limestone, far easier to source and work with, would have sufficed. Then, there was the mystery of the inscriptions Barsanti found at the site. Scholars to this day remain divided on their meaning. And what about the finely crafted oval vat? If this was a pyramid foundation, why go to such great lengths to intricately carve this vat, polish it, and seal it with lime and clay? In recent years, a new theory has emerged, connecting the mystery of Zawyet El Aryan to the Great Pyramid of Giza. For centuries, the Great Pyramid has puzzled historians. Conventional wisdom holds that it was built as a tomb for Pharaoh Khufu, but no human remains, treasures, or artifacts have ever been found inside, leading many to question this explanation. In the 1960s, Edward Kunkel proposed a radical theory. The Great Pyramid was not a tomb, but a massive water pump designed to irrigate the desert. Kunkel argued that the pyramid's internal chambers and passages functioned as part of a hydraulic system. His theory was met with skepticism, but some engineers saw merit in the idea. They pointed out that a ram pump, which uses gravity to move water, could have worked on the scale Kunkel proposed. By the 1990s, marine engineer John Cadman took Kunkel's theory further. He studied the pyramid's subterranean chamber and found signs of water damage. Cadman built a scale model of the pyramid's subterranean chamber and confirmed that it could function as a water pump. His experiments led to an unexpected discovery. The pyramid generated powerful compression waves, pulses that could create electricity. This raised a startling question. Could the ancient Egyptians have used the Great Pyramid to generate electricity? Cadman's research suggested it was possible. The pyramid's outer casing of insulating white limestone, its granite interior, and its gold capstone all pointed to a design capable of generating and harnessing electrical energy. With this new perspective, researchers revisited the mystery of Zawyet El Aryan. Could the pit have been part of an ancient electrical system connected to the Great Pyramid? Some believe the oval vat may have played a key role in this system, with the black residue providing evidence of a long-lost process for generating electricity. Perhaps this is why the Egyptian government sealed off Zawyet El Aryan in the 1960s. What secrets lie beneath the pit? Could it hold proof of an ancient civilization's advanced technology? As research continues, we may one day uncover the truth about an ancient Egypt far more advanced than we ever imagined. Imagine if fragments of secret knowledge from ancient civilizations had survived through time, reaching us only in cryptic symbols that were indecipherable to all but a select few. Such hidden knowledge would be expressed in a language accessible only to initiates, guarding its deeper meaning from the masses. In southern Egypt, within the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, lies artwork that has intrigued researchers for generations. At first glance, the carvings seem like nothing more than ornate art objects, but when viewed together, in a specific arrangement, they provoke a profound question. Could this be an encoded representation of advanced technology? The artwork in question is carved on the panels inside the temple, hidden within its underground crypts, places not meant for the eyes of casual visitors. This has led some to believe that the carvings might represent secret knowledge, deliberately stylized to obscure their true meaning. Much like Francis Bacon's method of steganography, where a message is hidden within another message or object, these artistic depictions may conceal a deeper truth. Could the symbols be an encrypted representation of ancient technology, with connectors, coils, and electrical components disguised as sacred motifs? The most striking image found inside the temple is one that appears repeatedly across 6 panels, a large, bulb-like object, emerging from a lotus flower at the base. Below the bulb are human figures. One of them appears connected to the object, while others stand with open arms facing a serpent-like figure. There is also a figure with a tail and 2 knives, commonly interpreted as the god Thoth. Below the entire scene stands the Djed pillar, often described as the backbone of Osiris, with the bulb interpreted by Egyptologists as a representation of the placenta, inside of which coils the snake. This imagery has come to be known as the Dendera light, and some researchers believe it could represent something much more than spiritual symbolism, perhaps an ancient form of technology. The stylized motifs resemble elements of modern electrical apparatuses, such as frequency transformers, with the Djed pillar mirroring the structure of modern radio frequency transformers. Could the Djed actually be a piece of operational equipment disguised as a religious symbol? Consider the possibility. Ancient priests, unfamiliar with modern electrical devices, might have described these objects in terms familiar to them, such as the backbone of a god. Supporting this theory is the legend that the goddess Hathor, to whom the temple is dedicated, was said to have used certain objects to heal people. This brings us to one of the first high-frequency transformers in modern history, the Udin coil, a device related to the more famous Tesla coil. When connected to handheld electrodes, this coil was used in early medical treatments to apply high voltage to the patient's body. A dramatic violet glow would appear when the electrode was energized, similar to what one might imagine from the glowing bulb depicted in the Dendera relief. The technology of high-voltage medical devices, like the vacuum tube electrode, bears striking resemblance to the artistic representation in the temple. Could it be that the Djed pillar functioned as a high-frequency transformer, and the bulbs as primitive electric lamps or even X-ray tubes? The similarities between the Crux tube, a device used in early X-ray machines, and the Dendera bulb are too striking to ignore. The Crux tube, developed in the late 19th century, created a glowing effect when powered by high voltage. If we overlay the design of the Crux tube with the Dendera images, the match is almost perfect, not just in appearance, but in function. The placement of the anode in the Crux tube is identical to the Djed pillar in the artwork. Is it possible that the ancient Egyptians possessed knowledge of electromagnetic phenomena long before modern science uncovered it? The notion that ancient Egyptians may have been familiar with advanced technology seems outlandish to many. But consider this: the first high-frequency transformers and radio frequency technology were not invented until the early 20th century. Yet the resemblance between these devices and the Dendera reliefs is striking. When Auguste Mariette published his fundamental work on the Temple of Dendera in the late 19th century, Thomas Edison had not yet invented the incandescent light bulb. It wasn't until Sir William Crookes, with his famous Crookes tubes, began experimenting with radiant matter and high voltage that the concept of X-rays and plasma became a reality. Crookes's experiments with vacuum tubes were groundbreaking, allowing Röntgen to discover X-rays in 1895. When these early X-ray machines are compared to the Dendera imagery, the structural similarities are difficult to dismiss. Even the floral design in the artwork mirrors the part of the crux tube where the electrical connections would be made. Some researchers, such as Italian inventor and engineer Dr. Clarbruno Verduccio, argue that the similarity between the crux tubes and the Dendera artwork is far too precise to be coincidence. A similar approach is seen in an issue of Scientific American, which published a diagram for amateur scientists showing how to build a small high-voltage generator to create plasma discharge in a lamp tube, essentially a DIY X-ray generator. The design in the magazine and the one depicted in Dendera align almost perfectly. This plasma discharge could pass through materials, much like modern X-rays. Could the ancient Egyptians have harnessed a similar technology, using it to generate light or explore materials? On another panel in Dendera, we see an object with what appears to be lines extending from it, often referred to as a necklace, but possibly an artistic rendering of electrical wires. The spheres on the lines could well be insulators, similar to those used in modern electrical equipment. This type of insulator was used in appliances until the late 20th century to manage high voltages and temperatures. The object in the relief seems to be connected to a battery-like device, similar to early electrical circuits used in combustion engines. Could the ancient Egyptians have developed an electric pulse generator hidden in plain sight through the language of symbolism? One of the most famous examples of ancient electricity is the Baghdad battery, a device capable of producing small amounts of electrical current when filled with vinegar. This shows that ancient cultures had at least a basic understanding of electricity. On one of the Dendera panels, there is a depiction of what appears to be a voltaic pile, similar to the first electrical battery created by physicist Alessandro Volta in 1794. Was this technology used to manipulate materials or to activate the glowing properties of gems, as suggested in some ancient legends? One of the most intriguing possibilities is that the high priest's breastplate, mentioned in biblical texts, glowed with radiant light to communicate divine messages. The mystery of Dendera only deepens as we explore these possibilities. If such advanced technology existed in ancient Egypt, it's likely that much of it was lost, either destroyed or looted by invading cultures. Copper coils and precious metals from such devices would have been valuable commodities, likely scavenged and repurposed. Yet, the artwork remains, a time capsule etched in stone, hinting at a lost era of technological prowess far ahead of its time.
The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb is undeniably one of the most thrilling and mysterious achievements in archaeology. Cleopatra VII, the final ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, has fascinated people for centuries with her intelligence, political shrewdness, and her famous romances with Roman leaders Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. For ages, the location of her final resting place remained one of history's most elusive mysteries. The breakthrough in the search for Cleopatra's tomb emerged in the early 21st century. This incredible discovery was driven by Dr. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former Minister of Antiquities, and Kathleen Martinez, a Dominican lawyer turned self-taught archaeologist with a deep passion for Cleopatra. Martinez, fueled by her admiration for Cleopatra and her extensive research of ancient texts, posited that Cleopatra and Mark Antony were buried in the temple of Taposiris Magna, near the ancient city of Alexandria. Martinez's theory was rooted in a detailed analysis of historical accounts by Plutarch and Cassius Dio, suggesting Cleopatra might have been buried in a temple dedicated to the goddess Isis. This idea contrasted with the prevailing belief that Cleopatra was interred within Alexandria itself. In 2005, Martinez obtained permission from the Egyptian authorities to commence excavations at Taposiris Magna. The excavation at Taposiris Magna was challenging. The site, located on the edge of the Libyan desert, posed significant difficulties due to its unstable structures and the complex layers of archaeological deposits. Over several years, the team uncovered notable artifacts, including coins with Cleopatra's likeness, statues, and inscriptions, all supporting the hypothesis that the site was connected to Cleopatra. A particularly intriguing aspect of this discovery was the mysterious and seemingly serendipitous nature of many findings. Key discoveries often coincided with unusual weather events like sudden sandstorms and unexpected rains, almost as if guiding the archaeologists to crucial areas. Some team members reported vivid dreams and visions of ancient rituals, which they interpreted as spiritual guidance. An especially fascinating discovery was a large, unfinished tunnel beneath the temple, leading to a series of chambers. This tunnel, carved with precise craftsmanship, suggested that the burial complex was intended for someone of extraordinary significance, possibly Cleopatra herself. Inside these chambers, the team found a hidden room containing a collection of golden artifacts and inscriptions referring to a Queen of Kings, a title often linked to Cleopatra. The initial announcement of the discovery of Cleopatra's tomb attracted immense media attention and widespread public interest. Press conferences were held, documentaries were produced, and the artifacts were meticulously catalogued and preserved. Many of these artifacts, including statues, jewelry, and coins, were exhibited in museums worldwide, drawing millions of visitors eager to learn more about Cleopatra and her era. Following the discovery, Taposiris Magna became a focal point for ongoing archaeological research. Scholars and historians collaborated to further investigate the surrounding area, uncovering additional structures and artifacts that offered more insights into the Ptolemaic period. The discovery also led to a re-evaluation of other potential burial sites across Egypt, prompting new excavations and yielding fresh historical data. The site itself transformed into a popular tourist destination, significantly boosting the local economy and fostering a deeper appreciation for Egypt's rich cultural heritage. Educational programs and public lectures spread the knowledge gained from the discovery, inspiring a new generation of archaeologists and historians. Cleopatra's tomb holds a treasure trove of unique and fascinating facts that shed light on her life and reign. One of the most remarkable aspects of Cleopatra was her linguistic prowess. She was fluent in several languages, including Egyptian, Greek, Latin, and possibly others, which allowed her to communicate effectively with various cultures and political leaders. This multilingual ability was a significant asset in her diplomatic engagements and helped her maintain strong political ties. Cleopatra's reign was characterized by a remarkable blend of Egyptian and Hellenistic cultures. She embraced Egyptian customs and religious practices, presenting herself as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis, while also maintaining strong connections to her Greek heritage. This cultural syncretism was reflected in the art, architecture, and religious ceremonies of her time, creating a unique and vibrant cultural landscape. The tomb at Taposiris Magna, believed to be Cleopatra's final resting place, is a testament to her architectural vision. The complex features intricate carvings, hidden chambers, and sophisticated tunnels, highlighting the advanced engineering and architectural skills of the period. The tomb's design and construction reflect the grandeur and sophistication that Cleopatra likely envisioned for her eternal abode. The artifacts discovered within the tomb are rich with symbolism. Golden jewelry, statues, and inscriptions reflect Cleopatra's royal status, religious beliefs, and political ambitions. These artifacts offer a glimpse into her life, her reign, and her desire to be remembered as a divine ruler. The symbols and inscriptions provide valuable insights into how Cleopatra viewed herself and how she wanted to be perceived by future generations. The discovery of hidden chambers and tunnels within the tomb complex suggests that Cleopatra may have taken great care to ensure the security and sanctity of her final resting place. These hidden features indicate a sophisticated understanding of architecture and a deep respect for the afterlife. The hidden chambers and tunnels add an element of mystery and intrigue to the tomb, highlighting the lengths to which Cleopatra went to protect her legacy. The tomb complex at Taposiris Magna is extensive, featuring a series of interconnected chambers and tunnels. The main burial chamber, believed to be the final resting place of Cleopatra, is adorned with intricate carvings and decorated with golden artifacts. The size of the tomb and its elaborate design indicate that it was intended for a person of significant importance, supporting the theory that it belongs to Cleopatra. Among the artifacts discovered were numerous statues, some depicting Cleopatra herself, others representing Egyptian gods and goddesses. The team also found a wealth of golden jewelry, including necklaces, bracelets and rings, many of which are inscribed with hieroglyphs and symbols associated with royalty and divinity. Additionally, coins bearing Cleopatra's likeness and inscriptions were uncovered, further supporting the identification of the tomb. These artifacts not only highlight Cleopatra's royal status, but also provide a tangible connection to the historical figure, enriching our understanding of her life and reign. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding Cleopatra is the exact circumstances of her passing. The traditional account suggests that she took herself by allowing an asp, a venomous snake, to bite her. However, some scholars propose alternative theories. Another intriguing theory is that Cleopatra's relationship with Rome was more complex than commonly portrayed. Some historians believe that her alliances with Julius Caesar, and later with Mark Antony, were part of a broader strategy to create a unified Greco-Roman Egyptian empire, with Alexandria as its capital. This theory suggests that Cleopatra's ambitions extended beyond Egypt, envisioning a new world order centered around her rule. The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb has also sparked speculation about a potential curse associated with disturbing her final resting place. Similar to the curse of Tutankhamun's tomb, some believe that those who enter Cleopatra's tomb may face misfortune or supernatural retribution. While there is no concrete evidence to support this theory, it adds an element of mystery and intrigue to the discovery. One of the most mysterious coincidences related to the discovery of Cleopatra's tomb is the alignment of astrological events. Researchers noted that significant breakthroughs in the excavation process often coincided with notable celestial events, such as eclipses and planetary conjunctions. Some believe that these alignments were not mere coincidences, but rather signs of divine intervention or ancient knowledge encoded in the tomb's design. Several members of the excavation team reported experiencing intuitive insights and inexplicable hunches that guided their efforts. These insights often led to significant discoveries, such as the location of hidden chambers or the interpretation of cryptic inscriptions. While these experiences cannot be scientifically explained, they add a layer of mystery to the discovery process. Cleopatra's legacy also includes her efforts to position herself as a divine ruler. She was closely associated with the goddess Isis and often depicted herself as the goddess's earthly embodiment. This association was part of her strategy to legitimize her rule and strengthen her connection with the Egyptian people. The artifacts found in her tomb, including statues and inscriptions depicting her as Isis, underscore this aspect of her reign.
Nestled near the Fayum oasis, the Hawara pyramid site may appear unremarkable today, but to ancient historians, it was a place of awe and grandeur. Herodotus, often called the father of history, described it in terms that still leave modern scholars in awe. He recounted that compared to the labyrinth he encountered, even the grandest Greek temples and pyramids paled in both effort and expense. It was a structure of such enormous scale and complexity that it surpassed even the famous pyramids of Egypt. For centuries, however, many dismissed his account as fanciful or exaggerated, especially given Herodotus's reputation for embellishment. However, as time passed, more of his descriptions have been vindicated, particularly regarding his accounts of Lake Moeris near Hawara. He spoke of two pyramids rising nearly 93 meters above the surface of the water, each crowned with a seated stone statue. In the late 19th century, famed British archaeologist Flinders Petri confirmed the presence of two seated colossi, each about 18 meters high and made of hard quartzite sandstone. This discovery was one of many that would lend credence to Herodotus's words. The site of the Hawara pyramid holds far more than just these statues. When researchers began to investigate the pyramid itself, they unearthed evidence of remarkable ancient engineering. Despite its present appearance, a crumbling pile of dark mud, the pyramid conceals a megalithic core built with astounding precision. Beneath its decayed exterior, the masonry is of exceptional quality, with blocks fitted so tightly that not even a blade could slip between them. This core represents two distinct types of ancient technologies. One, the megalithic stone core, and the other, a more fragile mud brick construction that has long since crumbled. Flinders Petri, a pioneer in the study of ancient Egyptian architecture, was the first to delve into this mystery in detail. He noted that the stone casing of the pyramid had been removed during Roman times, leaving the interior exposed to the elements. Unlike other pyramids of the time, the entrance to this one was on the south side, not the north, and lay at ground level. It was designed with descending passages that had ramps on both sides, resembling a system for moving heavy cargo. This unique layout distinguished the Hawara pyramid from others in Egypt, leading Petri to believe that its original purpose may have been different from typical pyramids. One of the most astonishing aspects of the structure is its system of trapdoors. Massive stone slabs weighing around 20 tons each, designed to seal off passageways. Petri discovered 3 such trapdoors, all of which had been left open. His exploration of the pyramid led him to a central chamber carved from a single block of quartzite sandstone, forming a large tank-like structure in which a sarcophagus was placed. This colossal monolith, weighing over 110 tons, had been hewn with such precision, Petri marveled at the technical skill required to carve and place such an enormous block of stone into a carefully excavated hollow. What truly puzzled Petri, however, was the design of the tomb itself. There was no visible entrance, and the only way the pharaoh's body could have been placed inside would have been during the construction of the pyramid. Even more curiously, no inscriptions were found inside the chamber or on the sarcophagus, a rarity for a royal tomb. Instead, Petri found only traces of charred bones, charcoal, and remnants of burnt diorite, suggesting that whatever had once been inside the sarcophagus had been deliberately destroyed by fire. The mystery deepened when Petri examined a second sarcophagus in the chamber, one that appeared to have been added after the pyramid's construction. This later addition was smaller and lacked the technical precision of the original sarcophagus, raising questions about the purpose and timeline of the additions to the tomb. It was as though the pyramid had been used for multiple, distinct purposes over time, each contributing to its enigmatic history. While Petri focused on the pyramid, he also uncovered evidence of a much larger structure nearby. The legendary Labyrinth of Egypt, which had long been mentioned in ancient texts. Herodotus had described it as a massive complex of 3,000 rooms, arranged in a maze-like formation, some above ground and others below. He was forbidden from entering the underground chambers, as they were said to house the tombs of kings and sacred crocodiles. Yet what Herodotus saw above ground left him awestruck, and later historians would echo his astonishment. Strabo, a Greek geographer who visited the site centuries later, described the labyrinth's monolithic ceilings and walls, each constructed from enormous slabs of stone. When Petri began excavating the area in front of the Hawara pyramid, he uncovered evidence of this labyrinth beneath the remains of a later village. Beneath the village, he found layers of stone chips and fragments, the remains of what had once been an enormous stone structure. He concluded that this was indeed the foundation of the fabled labyrinth. His findings aligned with the ancient accounts. The structure was so large that, as he noted, it could have contained the temples of Karnak and Luxor within its boundaries. However, the labyrinth had long since been destroyed, its stones quarried and repurposed by later generations. All that remained were the foundations and fragments, a ghost of the massive structure that had once stood there. And yet, despite the extensive damage, Petri's findings suggested that this labyrinth had been far more than just a building. It was a monumental work of engineering and architecture that had once awed the ancient world. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of Hawara, it becomes clear that this site still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. The labyrinth described by Herodotus, Strabo, and other classical writers may not be entirely lost. In fact, modern technology has revealed tantalizing clues that suggest much of it may still lie hidden beneath the sands, waiting to be rediscovered. In the 21st century, new technologies have allowed researchers to explore the Hawara site in ways that Petri could only have dreamed of. Ground-penetrating radar and other advanced tools have given archaeologists the ability to peer beneath the surface without disturbing the ancient ruins. One such expedition in 2008, led by the Mataja project, a team of geophysicists, used radar technology to investigate the area beneath what Petri had identified as the foundation of the labyrinth. What they discovered was nothing short of remarkable: a vast network of walls and chambers buried deep beneath the surface. Their findings suggested that what Petri had thought was a foundation might actually have been the roof of the labyrinth, which could still exist underground. The radar scans revealed a grid of rooms and passageways at depths of 8 to 12 meters, confirming the existence of a colossal structure that matched the descriptions given by ancient historians. Despite the significance of these findings, the news was met with unexpected resistance. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, led by Zahi Hawass, requested that the results be withheld from the public, citing concerns about national security. The Mataja team faced delays and obstacles, but after 2 years, they were finally able to publish their report. Their findings supported the ancient accounts of a labyrinth that was far larger than any temple known in Egypt, a structure that had remained hidden beneath the sands for millennia. The labyrinth's complexity and scale raised even more questions about its purpose. Why would such an enormous structure be built underground, and what was it used for? Some researchers speculated that it could have been a secret repository, a place where valuable artifacts or knowledge were stored. Others suggested that it might have served as a ceremonial or religious center, its labyrinthine corridors and chambers designed to disorient and awe those who entered. One of the most intriguing aspects of the labyrinth is its apparent age. The orientation of the structure, which is tilted by 20 to 25 degrees compared to the nearby Hawara pyramid, suggests that it may be much older than the pyramid itself. If this is true, it raises the possibility that the labyrinth predates the pharaohs and could be a relic of a much earlier civilization. Despite the advances in technology, many mysteries remain unsolved. The subterranean chambers have yet to be fully explored, and no one knows what lies within them. Could the labyrinth still contain treasures or texts from an ancient era? Could it hold clues to the origins of the Egyptians or even earlier cultures that inhabited the region? For now, these questions remain unanswered, as the labyrinth remains buried beneath layers of earth and time. In the ancient city of Luxor, hidden within its majestic temple walls, lies a mystery that challenges modern understanding of ancient Egypt's science and philosophy. Egyptologist Shwala de Lubitsch, after 12 years of detailed study of the Temple of Luxor, proposed that the ancient Egyptians held a sophisticated and immutable knowledge, fully developed from the earliest dynasties. This knowledge, according to de Lubitsch, far surpassed that of other civilizations at the time, hinting at a deeper understanding of the universe. De Lubitsch's research into the temple's intricate carvings and architectural design led him to a remarkable discovery, which he called transparency in the stone blocks. While copying temple plans and examining wall carvings, he noticed tiny embedded stones in larger blocks, which had been previously dismissed as errors. De Lubitsch proposed that these stones were markers placed by the master builders for precise measurements. This realization spurred adjustments in his own measurements, leading to even more astonishing findings. He observed that carvings on opposite sides of some walls seemed to align in impossible ways, as if the stone between them was transparent, allowing the design to flow through. This phenomenon, which de Lubitsch likened to a see-through banknote, suggested a level of craftsmanship and intentionality that defied conventional understanding of ancient architecture. The temple's carvings could only be fully appreciated when viewed as a continuous design, transcending the physical stone. One striking example of this transparency is between Room 12 and Room 5 in the Temple of Luxor. A stone block separating these rooms features carvings that seem to project through the stone itself. In Room 12, a hieroglyph for cloth is carved, while in Room 5, a box for cloths appears. The two images fitting together as if the stone was transparent. The technical precision needed to achieve this effect raises profound questions about the knowledge and skills of the ancient builders. De Lubitsch's discoveries extended beyond transparency. He also identified transposition, where symbols and carvings were arranged across different parts of the temple to create multi-dimensional connections. For instance, Montu's solar disk in Room 2 is projected into the shrine of Amun-Ra's boat in Room 6. The boat's content is hidden, requiring the observer to explore multiple spaces to understand the intended meaning. These techniques suggest a level of philosophical and scientific depth in ancient Egyptian culture that modern Egyptology had long overlooked. De Lubitsch argued that the Egyptians weren't just concealing knowledge in their architecture, but were presenting a more profound, spatial form of understanding. By dividing concepts across different parts of the temple, the Egyptians created an environment where knowledge was experienced holistically, rather than as isolated facts or images. In his groundbreaking work on the Temple of Luxor, De Lubitsch revealed an entirely new architectural grammar. This grammar, found in the block's shapes, joints, and symbolic overlays, turned the Egyptian temple into a living library of knowledge, accessible only through deep study. His discoveries redefined how scholars approached ancient Egyptian architecture, leading to a re-evaluation of the intellectual achievements of this ancient civilization. The most revolutionary aspect of De Lubitsch's work was the realization that the meaning of inscriptions and symbols on one wall couldn't be fully understood without considering their relationships to the carvings around them. This interconnectivity suggested a three-dimensional approach to knowledge that engaged the observer on multiple levels. For De Lubitsch, the true purpose of transparency and transposition was not only to complete an idea, but to clarify it in a way that transcended traditional communication methods. As we explore the mysteries of the Temple of Luxor, it becomes clear that the ancient Egyptians had a unique understanding of art and science. Their use of transparency and transposition reflected a worldview that connected the physical and metaphysical, the material and immaterial. Transparency, in particular, hinted at a belief that solid matter was deceptive, with light, or knowledge itself, as the true fundamental reality. De Lubitsch's discoveries at the Temple of Luxor did more than challenge traditional views of Egyptian architecture. They opened the door to a new understanding of how the Egyptians viewed the world. Through transparency and transposition, De Lubitsch uncovered a sophisticated system of thought that extended beyond the temple. He believed that this system could be found in other artifacts, such as papyri, which contained multi-layered meanings to be understood holistically. Transparency, for example, was more than an architectural technique. It represented a deeper philosophical belief. By prioritizing light over solid matter, the Egyptians expressed a worldview that saw physical reality as secondary to the metaphysical. De Lubitsch suggested that this belief in the primacy of light explains why transparency was central to the Temple of Luxor's design. The stone blocks weren't just barriers, but conduits for knowledge and understanding. Transposition added yet another dimension to this philosophy, emphasizing the importance of seeing beyond the surface. To understand the temple fully, one had to move through it, experiencing the connections between different spaces and symbols. This design reflected an understanding of spatial awareness and perception that resonates with modern psychological theories, such as Gestalt. Gestalt psychology, which emerged in the early 20th century, focuses on the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Human perception organizes individual elements into a unified whole, rather than analyzing each part in isolation. De Lubitsch's work mirrors this idea, as he argued that the carvings and inscriptions in the temple were part of a larger, interconnected system. Just as Gestalt theory emphasizes the importance of perceiving the overall form, de Lubitsch focused on perceiving the entire meaning of the temple. De Lubitsch's discoveries lead to profound questions. Who were the true sources of this knowledge? Were the Egyptians responsible for developing these advanced ideas, or were they inheritors of wisdom passed down from an even older civilization? And what can these ancient ideas teach us about the nature of reality? By connecting ancient Egyptian concepts with modern scientific theories, we uncover new insights into the mysteries of the past, and the possibility that the answers to our most profound questions may lie not in the future, but in the distant past. If you liked this video, then you'll like our next adventure over in Turkey. Ever heard of a place older than Stonehenge? Göbekli Tepe is a mind-boggling puzzle of massive stone pillars and intricate carvings, built before the wheel even existed. Who were these ancient architects? And what secrets do these stones hold? Let's dive into this prehistoric mystery together. Beneath the Giza Plateau, near the Great Sphinx and pyramids, lies a mysterious structure that may reshape our understanding of ancient Egypt. Known as the Osiris Shaft, this subterranean complex challenges conventional timelines. Could it predate the pyramids? And what was its true purpose? Recent discoveries and a groundbreaking dating method have led Egyptologists to rethink what they thought they knew about this ancient civilization. The Osiris Shaft descends 35 meters into the bedrock beneath the causeway leading to the Sphinx. It comprises multiple levels, with the lowest chamber housing a granite sarcophagus surrounded by water. This chamber is sometimes referred to as the Tomb of Osiris. But what exactly was this structure intended for? Its purpose remains shrouded in mystery, with no clear answers in sight. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Osiris Shaft is the unusual material used in one of the sarcophagi. Egyptologists discovered a stone unlike anything previously found in Egypt. How did it end up here, deep in the bedrock? Even stranger, the structure itself seems to have been designed without easy access in mind. There are no steps or ladders leading down to its depths. The ones installed now were placed there by modern archaeologists, suggesting that the ancient builders had no intention of facilitating frequent visits. The logistics of moving the massive sarcophagi, some weighing up to 40 tons, further deepen the mystery. How were they lowered with such precision into the shaft, which itself was not designed for easy entry or exit? The precision required to lower these gigantic objects without error suggests a technological ability that we do not fully understand. One sarcophagus found on the second level was particularly remarkable. It was covered in a thin film of bitumen, with a metallic coating beneath it. This metal, containing elements like lead and zinc, is puzzling. Why use a metallic coating inside a sarcophagus? Lead, in particular, raises questions, as it is known today for its use in radiation shielding. Could the ancient Egyptians have been aware of this? Moreover, measurements showed unusually high levels of gamma radiation inside the sarcophagus, further hinting at a function beyond burial. The method used to date one of these sarcophagi, called optical thermoluminescence, measures the last time the stone was exposed to light. The results suggested a date as far back as 3350 BCE, centuries before the accepted construction dates of the pyramids. This implies that the Osiris Shaft could predate the pyramids and the earliest dynasties of Egypt. What's even more curious is the material of one sarcophagus, dacite, an igneous rock not found anywhere in Egypt. In fact, after consulting with geologists, it was confirmed that there are no significant dacite deposits in Africa large enough to produce a sarcophagus of this size. This means the stone was transported from outside the continent, perhaps from Europe or the Black Sea. The logistics of transporting a 40-ton block of stone across seas and deserts remains a mystery. Why didn't the builders use locally sourced granite or basalt, which would have been far easier to acquire? This discovery challenges long-standing views on ancient Egypt's chronology. The dating method used reveals a time well before the pyramids, offering a glimpse into a distant past. Could the Osiris Shaft represent the work of a forgotten civilization, one whose achievements have been lost to time? As we explore the depths of the shaft, more questions emerge. Was the shaft's design deliberate, meant to preserve the dead using unknown methods? Could the high radiation levels within the sarcophagi have played a role in ancient preservation techniques? The builders of this structure may have known things we have yet to uncover. As archaeologists delve deeper into the Osiris Shaft, they challenge established notions of ancient Egypt. On the third and deepest level, a stone island surrounded by water holds yet another granite sarcophagus. This time, the sarcophagus is made of granite, a material more common in Egyptian structures. However, its location deep underground and surrounded by water raises further questions. This sarcophagus dates to around 2370 BCE, placing it in the Old or Middle Kingdom. Interestingly, the design of the third level seems to be a later addition to the shaft, suggesting the site may have been used and modified over centuries. If true, this means the Osiris Shaft was considered important long before the time of the pyramids. One of the most intriguing features of the third level is the water system. A meticulously shaped canal surrounds the chamber, and the water level appears to be maintained at a precise depth. How did the builders engineer such a system over 100 feet underground? The bedrock in this area is solid, making natural water leaks unlikely. This suggests that the builders tapped into a hidden water source, possibly through an underground channel or spring. At the Osirian, another ancient Egyptian site, similar subterranean water channels have been discovered, indicating that the ancient builders had advanced knowledge of hydroengineering. Water was often seen as a source of life and regeneration, and its presence in the Osiris Shaft may have had symbolic significance in ancient rituals related to death and rebirth. This brings us to the connection between the shaft and Osiris, the Egyptian god of the dead and the underworld. According to myth, Osiris was resurrected in a sarcophagus placed on an island surrounded by water. The third level of the shaft closely mirrors this imagery. Could the builders have been trying to replicate the tomb of Osiris? Or was this part of a deeper religious practice? Oddly, the sarcophagi found in the Osiris Shaft are devoid of inscriptions, which is unusual for ancient Egyptian tombs. This absence of hieroglyphs has led some scholars to suggest that these sarcophagi were not intended for traditional burials, but served a different, perhaps secretive, purpose. Adding to the mystery, researchers detected significant levels of radiation inside the sarcophagi. Combined with the lead coating found on the second level, this suggests that the sarcophagi might have had an advanced preservative function, something we do not yet fully understand. If the ancient Egyptians had knowledge of radiation's effects on preservation, it would represent a technological leap far beyond what we currently attribute to their civilization. Beyond the physical mysteries, the Osiris Shaft raises important questions about the origins of Egyptian civilization. The dating of the second-level sarcophagus to as early as 3350 BCE points to a pre-dynastic origin, making the shaft one of the oldest structures in Egypt. As we continue to investigate the Osiris Shaft, the possibility of discovering hidden chambers, artifacts, or tunnels remains high. The Osiris Shaft is rewriting our understanding of ancient Egypt and perhaps even pointing to a forgotten chapter in human history.
Did you know about the mysterious Osiris Shaft hidden within the Giza Plateau? This fascinating archaeological site, often overshadowed by the grandeur of the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx, harbors secrets of ancient Egyptian civilization. Though known since the late 19th century, it remained largely ignored as explorers focused on more prominent monuments. But the Osiris Shaft has its own story, one that has gradually unfolded over time. It wasn't until the 1990s that the Osiris Shaft began to receive the attention it deserved, thanks to the efforts of Zahi Hawass, a name familiar to many.
He's documented the fact that Zahi's been enabling kind of secret expeditions digging and drilling around the Sphinx since the 1970s.
Under his direction, a thorough exploration was undertaken, revealing the shaft's complex architecture and its connection to ancient Egyptian religious thought. However, accessing the deepest parts of the Osiris Shaft wasn't easy. The team had to overcome the significant challenge of draining the water that had flooded its lower levels, particularly the third level, which was partially submerged.
The same story of a great flood, which brought a former age of the world to an end.
The effort required to bring in modern equipment and remove the water was immense, but it was crucial to unveiling the shaft's hidden secrets. The Osiris Shaft, with its 3 levels descending deep into the earth, turned out to be a remarkable puzzle of architecture, burial customs, and hidden treasures. The design itself is a marvel of ancient engineering, with each level serving a unique purpose. At the bottom, a large stone sarcophagus rests in a chamber partially filled with water, evoking the ancient Egyptian underworld. It's as if the Egyptians constructed their version of the afterlife deep within the Giza Plateau. The second level, with its 6 empty burial shafts, adds to the mystery. Were they looted, or were they never intended to hold anything? This level offers insights into burial practices and rituals, though some aspects remain unclear. Despite the absence of inscriptions that could pinpoint who built the shaft and when, the artifacts discovered within, pottery shards, fragments of stone vessels, and other small items, suggest the Osiris Shaft dates back to the New Kingdom period. These artifacts provide valuable clues, helping researchers piece together the history of this incredible structure. One of the most poignant discoveries was the mummified remains found in the smaller chambers surrounding the central sarcophagus. These remains offer a rare glimpse into the lives of ancient Egyptians, revealing details about their diets, lifestyles, and perhaps even their deaths. Let's take a moment to talk about Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god of the afterlife, death, and rebirth. According to mythology, Osiris was betrayed by his brother Set, leading to a story of death, dismemberment, and resurrection that reads like an ancient epic. His wife, Isis, reassembled him and brought him back to life, making Osiris a symbol of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The Osiris Shaft is thought to be a 3-dimensional tribute to this epic tale.
But over here we have the god Osiris from Egypt, remembered by the ancient Egyptians as a bringer of the gifts of civilization.
At the shaft's deepest point, there's a chamber filled with water, believed to represent the underworld. Standing before the large stone sarcophagus, which symbolizes Osiris's tomb, one can almost feel the connection to his journey through death and his role as ruler of the afterlife. But why was such a place built? One theory is that the Osiris Shaft served as a site for initiation rites, a kind of spiritual boot camp where participants underwent trials symbolizing death and rebirth, mirroring Osiris's experiences. These rites were believed to impart secret knowledge and bring about a spiritual transformation in the initiates. Some even speculate that the shaft's design was influenced by the stars, aligning with celestial bodies associated with Osiris and the afterlife. The shaft may have been a bridge between Earth and the heavens, representing the soul's journey after death. What's truly fascinating is how the structure of the Osiris Shaft and the artifacts found within echo ancient texts like the Pyramid texts and the Book of the Dead. These texts offer a window into the Egyptian view of the afterlife, complete with references to water, boats, and the importance of sarcophagi. The shaft can be seen as a stone-bound version of these ancient scrolls, a tangible connection to the beliefs and rituals of a long-lost civilization. Buried deep within the limestone bedrock, the Osiris Shaft is a 3-level labyrinth that masterfully combines practicality with a touch of the mystical. Let's explore what makes the architecture of the Osiris Shaft so intriguing. The design and construction of the shaft are nothing short of remarkable, showcasing the advanced planning and building techniques of the ancient Egyptians. The precision with which they carved out these chambers from the bedrock reflects their deep understanding of the earth beneath them. The entrance to the shaft is marked by a rectangular opening that leads to a vertical drop of about 10 meters. This isn't just a hole in the ground, it's a carefully crafted vertical shaft, requiring the removal of large amounts of limestone using tools made from harder stones and metals, ropes, and wooden scaffolding. This feat of engineering is a testament to the skills of the ancient builders. The first chamber encountered is modest, devoid of decorations or treasures. Its simplicity might have been intentional, serving as a waiting room or a space for preparing for something more profound, deeper within, possibly purification rites. The real intrigue begins at the second level, where another shaft descends another 20 meters. This chamber is more complex, containing 6 empty burial shafts that have sparked much speculation. Were they looted, or were they always meant to be symbolic? These shafts could have been used for actual burials, or perhaps represented the journey to the afterlife. The third level is the most dramatic. Descending yet another shaft, now 30 meters below the surface, you find a large stone sarcophagus at the chamber's center. This chamber, partially filled with water from the natural aquifer, isn't just a burial place. It symbolizes Osiris's tomb, tying into themes of rebirth and purification in Egyptian mythology. Graham Hancock is a name that often sparks lively discussions about ancient civilizations. Known for his books like Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods, Hancock's theories often challenge mainstream archaeological narratives. Let's consider how Hancock's unconventional ideas might offer new insights into the mysterious Osiris Shaft.
I think there's a lot more remains to be discovered under the Giza Plateau.
Yeah.
Hancock's theories often revolve around the idea of a lost advanced civilization, one that predates known history and possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy, architecture, and mathematics.
I believe that it's worth considering the possibility of a remote common ancestor, which passed down key information that was inherited by later cultures.
Hancock might suggest that the Osiris Shaft, with its intricate design and possible astronomical alignments, serves as a time capsule from this sophisticated society. Could this ancient marvel be older than we think, or was it built with knowledge handed down from this enigmatic civilization? Hancock is also fascinated by how ancient structures align with the stars. While he hasn't specifically identified the Osiris Shaft in his star maps, it's easy to imagine it fitting into his broader theories. Could the shaft's orientation indicate a connection to celestial events or constellations associated with Osiris and themes of death and rebirth?
That is who Osiris is. His image is seen in the sky as the constellation of Orion.
Hancock's work suggests that many of Egypt's ancient monuments are part of a larger cosmic blueprint, with the Osiris Shaft possibly being another piece of that puzzle. One of the more dramatic aspects of Hancock's theories involves global cataclysms, particularly those caused by comet impacts during the Younger Dryas period, around 12,800 to 11,600 years ago. He proposes that these catastrophic events might have wiped out the advanced civilization he theorizes about. When we look at the water in the lower levels of the Osiris Shaft, Hancock might see it as more than just groundwater seepage. He could interpret it as a symbol of the world-altering floods his hypothesized civilization endured. Do you believe in the possibility of multiple ancient cataclysms? Beneath the sands of Egypt's vast desert lies the Saqqara necropolis, a site shrouded in mystery for over 4,600 years. What secrets are hidden within the world's oldest stone pyramid, the Step Pyramid of Djoser, and the labyrinth of underground tombs and tunnels? How did ancient Egyptians, with their rudimentary tools, craft massive granite sarcophagi so precisely that modern engineers still marvel at their skill?
How that was possible by the dynastic people is impossible.
Could this sprawling necropolis, home to some of the earliest known religious texts, hold clues to forgotten technologies or even connections to otherworldly beings? As you delve into the mysteries of Saqqara, prepare to question everything you thought you knew about ancient Egypt. The discovery of the Saqqara necropolis in Egypt, one of the most significant archaeological finds in history, dates back to the early 19th century. While the area had been known to locals for centuries, it was the systematic exploration by European explorers and archaeologists that brought Saqqara to the world's attention. The French engineer and archaeologist Auguste Mariette is often credited with the formal discovery of Saqqara. In 1850, Mariette was sent to Egypt by the Louvre Museum to acquire Coptic manuscripts. However, his attention soon turned to the sands of Saqqara after hearing of a mysterious area littered with ancient statues. Intrigued, Mariette followed up on this lead and eventually unearthed the entrance to the Serapeum, a massive underground complex housing the burial chambers of the sacred Apis bulls. Mariette's discovery of the Serapeum was nothing short of extraordinary. The complex, buried under the sands of Saqqara, had been hidden for centuries. As Mariette and his team began to dig, they uncovered a long subterranean gallery stretching over 400 meters, lined with colossal granite sarcophagi. These sarcophagi, each weighing between 60 to 70 tons, were astonishingly well preserved. The sheer size and precision of these stone coffins baffled Mariette and later archaeologists, as they seemed far too large and heavy to have been moved using the simple tools that were believed to be available to the ancient Egyptians.
They obviously weren't made as tombs for anybody because they're way bigger than a human being.
The discovery of Saqqara unfolded gradually, revealing layers of history and mystery. The step pyramid of Djoser, the centerpiece of the necropolis, was identified as the world's oldest stone structure, dating back to around 2630 BCE during the 3rd dynasty of the Old Kingdom. This pyramid, designed by the architect Imhotep, was unlike any other known structure at the time. Unlike the smooth-sided pyramids of Giza, Djoser's pyramid was built in 6 stepped layers, reaching a height of 203 feet. The structure was revolutionary, marking a significant evolution from the earlier mud brick mastabas to monumental stone architecture. When Mariette's team entered the burial chambers, they found that the Serapeum was not just a resting place for the bulls, but also held artifacts, inscriptions, and treasures of immense historical value. However, the most mysterious aspect was the apparent lack of human remains.
There's no evidence that there was ever anything inside the boxes in the Serapeum.
Despite being a necropolis, many of the tombs and structures seemed oddly devoid of bodies, leading to speculation about the true purpose of Saqqara. The precise construction techniques used in Saqqara have long been a topic of debate. The ancient Egyptians managed to move massive stone blocks, some weighing as much as 100 tons, with incredible precision. The Serapeum's granite sarcophagi, for instance, are so finely crafted that even modern engineers struggle to understand how they were cut, transported, and placed in the underground chambers.
It's such an astonishing sight, the scale of these boxes, that they were moved hundreds of miles.
These sarcophagi were carved from a single block of granite, sourced from quarries hundreds of miles away in Aswan, and their interiors were polished to a near-perfect finish. The Saqqara necropolis, spanning over 7 kilometers, is a vast and ancient burial ground that served Memphis, the capital of ancient Egypt, for more than 3,000 years. Within its expanse lies the step pyramid of Djoser, a monumental structure composed of over 11.5 million cubic feet of stone and clay, rivaling the Great Pyramid of Giza in its sheer volume, despite being nearly 1,000 years older. As one of the oldest stone buildings in the world, the Step Pyramid predates both Stonehenge and the Pyramids of Giza. The construction of the Saqqara necropolis, particularly the Step Pyramid, is traditionally attributed to the architect Imhotep, who served under Pharaoh Djoser. Imhotep was a polymath, an architect, physician, and high priest, whose knowledge and skill were so advanced that he was later deified by the Egyptians. Imhotep's design for the Step Pyramid was groundbreaking. It represented a quantum leap from earlier tomb designs, evolving from simple mastabas into a 6-tiered pyramid. This pyramid was not only a tomb, but also a symbol of the pharaoh's divine power. Theories suggest that Imhotep and his team had access to advanced knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering that allowed them to plan and execute such a complex structure. One of the more controversial theories is that extraterrestrial beings may have had a hand in the construction of Saqqara. Proponents of this theory argue that the precision and scale of the Step Pyramid and the Serapeum's sarcophagi could not have been achieved with the technology available at the time. They point to the fact that the sarcophagi in the Serapeum are perfectly squared and polished to a degree that would be difficult even with today's machinery, suggesting that advanced knowledge or tools, possibly of extraterrestrial origin, were used. Additionally, some of the inscriptions and carvings found in Saqqara depict figures that resemble modern-day conceptions of extraterrestrial beings, further fueling speculation about alien involvement. The age of the Saqqara necropolis has been determined through various methods, including radiocarbon dating and the analysis of historical records. The step pyramid is believed to have been constructed around 2630 BCE, making it over 4,600 years old. This age was confirmed through inscriptions and the study of pottery and other artifacts found within the complex. One of the enduring mysteries of Saqqara is the presence of incomplete tombs. These tombs, some of which were started but never finished, suggest that something disrupted their construction. There are several theories about what might have caused these sudden abandonments. One theory is that the death of a patron or a pharaoh who commissioned the tomb led to its abandonment, as resources and labor were redirected to the new ruler's projects. Another theory posits that political instability or economic difficulties during certain periods of Egyptian history may have caused the construction of some tombs to be halted. Additionally, natural disasters such as earthquakes or shifts in the Nile's course could have made the area less desirable for burial, leading to the sudden stoppage of work. The Saqqara necropolis is not just a historical site, it is a source of countless mysteries and theories that continue to intrigue researchers and enthusiasts alike. Among these theories are the underground city theory and the alien intervention theory, both of which suggest that Saqqara may hold secrets far beyond what has been uncovered so far. The idea that there is an extensive underground city beneath Saqqara is a theory that has fascinated both archaeologists and conspiracy theorists for years. The Serapeium, with its vast subterranean galleries, is just one part of this theory. Some believe that there are still undiscovered chambers and tunnels beneath the sands of Saqqara, possibly connecting it to other ancient sites in Egypt, such as Giza. Supporters of the underground city theory argue that the complex network of tunnels and chambers that have been discovered so far could be just a small part of a much larger underground metropolis. They point to the sophisticated architecture of the Serapeium and the precision with which it was built as evidence that the ancient Egyptians may have constructed entire underground cities that have yet to be found. This theory is bolstered by occasional discoveries of new tombs and chambers in the Saqqara area, suggesting that much of the necropolis remains unexplored. Some even speculate that the underground city could hold lost knowledge, treasures, or even the remains of a civilization that predates the Egyptians. The Saqqara necropolis is not isolated in its significance. Several other nearby discoveries have added to the mystery and intrigue of the area. One such discovery is the Pyramid of Unas, located near Saqqara. Inside this pyramid, archaeologists found the pyramid texts, the oldest known religious texts in the world. These texts are inscribed on the walls of the burial chamber and provide insight into the ancient Egyptian beliefs about the afterlife and the divine. Another significant discovery is the Mastaba of Ti, one of the most elaborately decorated tombs at Saqqara. The tomb contains intricate carvings and reliefs depicting daily life in ancient Egypt, as well as scenes of religious significance. The quality and detail of these carvings suggest that the artisans of Saqqara were highly skilled and that the necropolis was an important cultural center. These nearby discoveries, along with the mysteries of Saqqara itself, have led some to speculate that the area may have been a center of advanced knowledge or even a place where ancient Egyptians made contact with otherworldly beings.
Egypt, once a mighty empire, had been weakened by internal strife and external pressures. The Persians, under Cambyses II, dealt a significant blow by conquering Egypt in the 6th century BC. Although Egyptians managed to regain independence for a time, they were never quite the same force. This vulnerability paved the way for Alexander the Great's conquest in 332 BC. Unlike the Persians who largely imposed their rule, Alexander cleverly integrated himself into the Egyptian framework. He recognized the power of the Egyptian gods and even participated in their rituals, a strategic move to gain the acceptance of his new subjects. He started the construction of a temple dedicated to the goddess Isis, demonstrating his respect for Egyptian religious traditions. After Alexander's untimely death, his vast empire was divided amongst his generals. Ptolemy I Soter, a shrewd and capable leader, emerged as the ruler of Egypt. In 305 BC, he declared himself pharaoh, marking the beginning of the Ptolemaic Dynasty. This wasn't just a change in leadership, it was a cultural shift. This Greek dynasty reigned for almost 300 years, ending with Cleopatra's tragic death. The Ptolemies brought their Greek heritage, including their mythology, into Egypt. They were a rather insular bunch, maintaining their Greek identity through, well, a lot of intermarrying. 10 out of 15 Ptolemaic marriages were between siblings. Most rulers didn't even bother learning Egyptian. Cleopatra was the exception, the first and last of her line to master the language. The Ptolemies, though of Greek origin, understood the importance of respecting Egyptian traditions to maintain their power. They adopted Egyptian titles, participated in religious ceremonies, and even portrayed themselves in traditional pharaonic style. However, they also brought their own Greek heritage with them. This led to a unique blend of cultures, evident in art, architecture, and religion. Temples like the one discovered in Pelusium are a testament to this fusion. While dedicated to Greek gods, they were likely influenced by Egyptian architectural styles and may have even incorporated elements of Egyptian religious practices. But Pelusium's story predates the Ptolemies. It was a key player in the Persian conquest of Egypt in 525 BC. The young pharaoh Psemtik III faced the formidable Persian king Cambyses II. Psemtik, betrayed by his Greek allies and plagued by bad omens, stood no chance. The Battle of Pelusium was a bloodbath. Legend has it, the Persians exploited the Egyptians' reverence for cats, using them as shields to advance on the city. Unable to harm the sacred animals, the Egyptians were routed. Psemtik was captured and ultimately took his own life, marking the end of an era for Egypt. The sands of time quite literally swallowed Pelusium whole. Despite its once strategic importance as a bustling port city and a key military stronghold, its location at the Pelusiac branch of the Nile Delta proved to be its downfall. Over centuries, the relentless Nile deposited silt that gradually choked the harbour, cutting off its lifeline to the Mediterranean. As the coastline receded, Pelusium lost its strategic advantage and its economic importance dwindled. By 1100 AD, it was completely abandoned, left to the mercy of the encroaching desert. The city's decline and eventual burial under layers of sand explain why the temple remained hidden for so long. Early excavations in 1910, led by French Egyptologist Jean Clédat, offered tantalizing clues. He uncovered inscriptions mentioning a sacred enclosure dedicated to Zeus Cassius, but the temple itself remained elusive. Fast forward to 2022, and a team of archaeologists from the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, led by Dr. Mustafa Waziri, were conducting excavations at the Tel Farama site, the location of ancient Pelusium. They unearthed massive granite columns, some reaching a height of 12 meters, toppled and fragmented. These colossal columns, along with limestone walls and other architectural elements, confirmed the existence of the long-lost temple of Zeus Cassius. Mount Cassius, a towering peak located on the border between what is now Syria and Turkey, held immense religious importance for millennia. It was revered as a sacred space by various cultures, including the Canaanites, Phoenicians, and Greeks. For the Greeks, Mount Cassius was inextricably linked to Zeus. The epithet Cassius likely derives from the mountain itself, suggesting a fusion of the Greek god Zeus with a local deity worshipped on Mount Cassius. This blending of divine figures reflects the cultural exchange and syncretism that characterized the ancient world, particularly in regions like Pelusium, where different civilizations converged. Mount Cassius was steeped in mythology. According to Greek legend, it was the site of a titanic battle between Zeus and the fearsome monster Typhon. Typhon, a monstrous serpent with 100 fire-breathing heads, challenged Zeus for control of the cosmos. The epic clash between these powerful forces shook the very foundations of the earth. Ultimately, Zeus emerged victorious, casting Typhon into the depths of Tartarus, a deep abyss in the underworld. Mount Cassius wasn't always associated with Zeus. Long before the Greeks arrived, it was known as Mount Zaphon, a sacred site for the Canaanites who worshipped Baal, the formidable storm god. Like Zeus Cassius, Baal was intrinsically linked to the mountain, embodying the forces of nature, storms, rain, and the fertility they brought. This connection to Baal adds another dimension to the temple story. It suggests that the site held religious significance long before the Greeks arrived, highlighting the continuity and evolution of religious beliefs in this region. The influence of Baal extended even to the Egyptian pantheon. He became the prototype for Set, the god of chaos, storms, and the desert. This demonstrates the fluidity of religious ideas in the ancient world, where deities and myths were adopted, adapted, and transformed across cultures. The story takes another turn with the arrival of the Romans. Emperor Hadrian, known for his passion for Greek culture and his extensive travels throughout the Roman Empire, took a particular interest in the temple of Zeus Cassius. Inscriptions found within the ruins indicate that he undertook renovations, likely restoring and embellishing the structure, showcasing the enduring appeal of this sacred site across different empires and eras. The Temple of Zeus Cassius at Pelusium truly embodies the cultural melting pot that characterized the ancient Mediterranean world. It reflects the convergence of Canaanite, Greek, Egyptian, and Roman influences, highlighting the exchange of ideas, beliefs, and artistic traditions that shaped this region. This archaeological discovery provides a tangible link to this rich and layered past, reminding us of the interconnectedness of ancient civilizations.
The lost city of Heracleion, known to the ancient Egyptians as Thonis, was a submerged city near the mouth of the Nile River, off the coast of modern-day Alexandria, Egypt. Its discovery in the early 2000s by underwater archaeologist Frank Goddio and his team was a landmark event in archaeology. For centuries, Heracleion had been considered nothing more than a legend, known only through a few rare inscriptions and ancient texts. Heracleion served as a gateway to Egypt, acting as one of the primary ports of entry for Greek trade before the establishment of Alexandria. This made it a bustling hub of commerce, culture, and religion. The city was also a center for the worship of the god Amun-Gereb, the supreme god of the Egyptians at the time. One of the most significant religious events held in Heracleion was the annual Mysteries of Osiris ceremony, which celebrated the resurrection of the god Osiris. Artifacts and inscriptions found underwater suggest that this ceremony involved a procession from the temple of Amun-Gereb in Heracleion to the temple of Amun in Canopus. The city's remains are located around 6.5 kilometers off the coast, submerged under 30 to 45 feet of water. The excavation revealed a vast treasure trove of artifacts, statues, and architectural wonders that provide invaluable insights into ancient Egyptian civilization and its interactions with the Greek world. One of the most remarkable finds was the discovery of giant statues, some over 5 meters tall, beautifully carved and incredibly well preserved in the silty bottom of the bay. These statues represent a mix of Egyptian gods and goddesses, pharaohs, and Greek rulers, highlighting the cultural blend that characterized the city. Gold coins and weights made from bronze and stone were also discovered, shedding light on the city's trade and economic system. Among the most intriguing discoveries were dozens of small limestone sarcophagi, believed to have been used for mummified animals brought as offerings to the gods. These, along with the remains of more than 64 ancient shipwrecks, tell the story of a city deeply connected with the divine, where commerce and religion were intertwined. An interesting comparison can be drawn between Heracleion and the ancient city of Pompeii in Italy. Both cities were lost to natural disasters. Heracleion to rising waters and earthquakes, Pompeii to a volcanic eruption, and both lay forgotten for centuries. The rediscovery of each has provided a snapshot of life in an ancient city, offering insights into the daily lives, cultures, and economies of the past. While Pompeii offers a glimpse into Roman life frozen in time by volcanic ash, Heracleion reveals its story through the preservation of artifacts beneath the sea. Both sites challenge our understanding of ancient civilizations, but the underwater preservation of Heracleion offers a unique perspective, particularly in the conservation of organic materials and metals that would not have survived on land. The discovery and ongoing excavation of Heracleion challenge our perceptions of ancient history, providing evidence of the interconnectedness of ancient civilizations through trade, religion, and culture. The artifacts and structures found beneath the waters of the Mediterranean are a testament to the city's significance in the ancient world, offering a vivid picture of its splendor and the daily lives of its inhabitants. Cleopatra's palace in Alexandria, submerged beneath the waters of the eastern harbor near the modern city, is a site of immense archaeological and historical significance. This palace, part of the larger royal quarter of ancient Alexandria, was a center of political power, cultural achievement, and architectural grandeur during the reign of Cleopatra VII, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. The discovery of the palace's ruins underwater has captivated historians, archaeologists, and the public alike, offering a unique glimpse into the life of one of history's most enigmatic figures and the period she lived in. The underwater explorations have revealed a wealth of artifacts, including statues, coins, jewelry, and everyday objects that paint a vivid picture of life in Cleopatra's Alexandria. Among the most significant finds are the magnificent statues. Divers have uncovered numerous statues believed to have adorned the palace and the surrounding city. These include representations of Egyptian deities, members of the Ptolemaic Dynasty, and possibly Cleopatra herself, although identifying specific individuals can be challenging. The layout of the submerged buildings, including what are thought to be the palace's living quarters, ceremonial areas, and perhaps even the famous Pharos lighthouse, provides insight into the architectural styles and urban planning of the time. Items ranging from pottery and glassware to coins and personal ornaments have been found, illustrating both the domestic life within the palace and the broader economic and social systems of Alexandria. Alexandria under Cleopatra was a cosmopolitan hub of trade, culture, and learning. The city housed the Great Library, a beacon of knowledge attracting scholars from across the ancient world. Cleopatra's reign marked the zenith of Alexandria's development as a center of Hellenistic culture, blending Egyptian traditions with Greek and Roman influences. The discovery of the palace underwater underscores Alexandria's importance as a cultural and political capital. An interesting parallel can be drawn between Cleopatra's palace in Alexandria and the sunken Roman city of Baiae in the Bay of Naples. Like Alexandria, Baiae was renowned for its opulent buildings, including villas, temples, and baths, many of which belong to the wealthiest and most powerful figures of the Roman world. Both sites were lost to the sea due to natural disasters, Baiae to volcanic activity, and Alexandria to earthquakes and rising sea levels. The comparison highlights how both cities were centers of luxury and political power, reflecting the wealth and architectural tastes of their respective civilizations. However, while Baiae offers insight into Roman elite leisure and architectural innovation, Cleopatra's palace in Alexandria provides a window into the last days of the Egyptian pharaohs and the Ptolemaic dynasty's efforts to blend Egyptian and Hellenistic cultures. The Port of Alexandria, established by Alexander the Great in 331 BC, quickly became one of the world's most significant trade hubs and a beacon of cultural and intellectual achievement. Situated on the Mediterranean coast of Egypt, it connected trade routes from Europe, Asia, and Africa, making it a melting pot of cultures, ideas, and goods. The port's strategic and economic significance was unmatched in the ancient world, serving as the primary entry point for grain shipments from Egypt to Rome, a critical factor in Rome's imperial stability. One of the port's most iconic landmarks was the Pharos lighthouse, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Standing on the island of Pharos, it guided ships into the harbour with its towering light. Constructed in the 3rd century BC, it exemplified ancient engineering marvels and symbolised Alexandria's prosperity. Although not directly part of the port, the Great Library of Alexandria was emblematic of the intellectual vibrancy that the city's wealth and connectivity facilitated. It attracted scholars, scientists, and philosophers from across the ancient world. The royal quarters and palaces around the port included magnificent structures and the Museion, a shrine of the Muses, which housed the famous library. These buildings reflected the city's status as a center of Hellenistic culture and power. Underwater archaeology has uncovered a wealth of artifacts from the port, including ancient shipwrecks, pottery, and everyday items, offering insights into ancient maritime practices and the diverse goods that flowed through the city. The port of Alexandria was crucial in the ancient economy, facilitating the trade of commodities such as grain, papyrus, glass, and precious metals. Its storied docks and warehouses bustled with merchants and goods from all corners of the Mediterranean and beyond, reflecting a highly organized trade network. The city's prosperity was closely tied to its port's efficiency and its ability to serve as a cultural and economic bridge between different worlds. Drawing a comparison, the Port of Alexandria and the ancient Roman port of Ostia were both foundational to the economies of their respective empires, serving as vital nodes in the Mediterranean trade network. Ostia, at the mouth of the river Tiber, was the primary sea gateway for the Roman Empire, much like Alexandria was for Egypt. Each port was a focal point of economic activity and cultural exchange, reflecting the cosmopolitan nature of ancient Mediterranean life. However, while Ostia primarily served Rome and was critical for importing grain to feed the capital's population, Alexandria had a more global significance, connecting multiple continents. The discovery of exotic goods and the remains of diverse ships in Alexandria underscores its broader reach in the ancient trading world compared to Ostia, which, though significant, had a more centralized role within the Roman state.